Welcome to Tales of the Resistance. It's a podcast that highlights acts of defiance and rebellion as little glimmers of hope in these soul-sapping times. I'm your host, Amber Hunt. Let's start with the story about a 67-year-old canoeist, a $16 million paint job, and a government that spent 2 months insisting a piece of pool liner was the handiwork of dangerous saboteurs. Remember Dave Hearn, the 3-time Olympic canoe racer who repped Team USA in 92, 96, and 2000? In June, he stopped his bike by the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, noticed a piece of liner that was already peeling loose, and, gasp, touched it. Then he was detained by National Guard troops and U.S. Park Police. Meanwhile, on Truth Social, the president was floating theories that vandals had taken a box cutter to his freshly repainted pool and maybe dumped some illegal chemicals for good measure. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro then charged Hearn with a felony punishable by up to 10 years and claimed that a Park Service witness saw him forcibly and violently ripping up the pool floor. I mean, she was pretty unequivocal at the time.
The evidence shows, and we will prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that Hearn willfully destroyed property at the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. By Hearn's own admission, on June 19th, he reached down into the pool. Our evidence further shows that the National Park Service employees observed Hearn actually forcefully and violently pulling up and removing the bottom liner with both hands.
Except the pool was actually falling apart because the renovation got rushed to hit a deadline for Trump's America 250 celebration, and the contractor did shoddy work. We all knew that. Finally, the DOJ admitted we were right on August 1st, filing to drop the case and conceding the damage was caused by flawed installation, not vandalism. That's prosecutor speak for "we made this shit up." Hearn's legal team, which includes Norm Eisen, said the dismissal doesn't undo what happened. A private citizen arrested and publicly branded a vandal because the government needed somebody to blame for its own contractor's mistake. They're now pushing to get the case dismissed with prejudice so it can't be refiled. As recently as this week, Trump was still relitigating the whole thing on Truth Social, conceding some contractor error while still insisting Hearn did something too. Of Pirro, he said,
"She folded like an umbrella."
Here's Hearn.
It's very unsettling. It's not the United States of America that I know. It's not the United States of America that I've represented in many competitions overseas, including 3 Olympic Games, 13 World Championships. If it can happen to me, it could happen to anybody. Nobody's immune to this kind of government lawlessness, essentially. It's really the kind of thing that, a country ruled by a dictator, that's where you see that kind of thing. This is not the land of the free and the home of the brave that I know.
He told NPR the ordeal has been Orwellian, except, it seems, for the ending. You get it, because in 1984, Big Brother didn't drop the charges. You get it, right? You get it. Next up, the fight over a ballroom nobody in Congress agreed to. You'll recall the White House's East Wing got bulldozed earlier this year to make room for a $400 million, 90,000 square foot ballroom built without so much as a permission slip from Congress. A federal judge blocked it. Earlier this month, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals agreed 2-1, keeping construction stopped above ground while letting the administration keep digging basements, because apparently that part's fine. The panel didn't mince words. Whether a massive ballroom gets built is a decision for Congress, not something a president can just will into existence. Translation: you don't get to renovate the people's house like it's a kitchen remodel you didn't forewarn your spouse about. As Alaska's own Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski put it,
he's living in a house that is not his house. It belongs to the country.
I tried to confirm that by looking up the deed, but guess what? There's no deed because it's federal public property, which means it does indeed belong to the country, God damn it. Trump called the ruling horrendous and politically motivated on Truth Social, noted that the two judges who ruled against him were nominated by Democrats, and argued the delay leaves the White House and, quote, all Americans who wish to visit, end quote, exposed to danger, a security argument for a room whose main function is hosting parties. Trump is appealing to the Supreme Court. I'm recording this on Tuesday before that super above-the-board institution decides whether to weigh in. Speaking of things a president should need permission for, policing American citizens with the military. Last August, Trump federalized the D.C. National Guard and put more than 2,000 troops on the streets of Washington, citing a crime emergency that he claimed ended a month after he declared it. The troops stayed anyway, patrolling tourist corridors well into this year. On August 5th, U.S. District Judge Gia Cobb ruled the deployment illegal, granting D.C.'s request for a preliminary injunction. D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab, who brought the suit, said the military isn't supposed to be policing American citizens on American soil, and letting a president decide otherwise sets exactly the kind of precedent that should worry everyone, regardless of party. The ruling is stayed for 21 days to let the administration appeal, so don't expect the Guard to pack up quite yet. But it's not an isolated case. Courts have already blocked or limited similar deployments in Portland, Chicago, and across Illinois, with the Supreme Court itself declining to let the Chicago deployment move forward back in December. It's a pattern now. In city after city, judge after judge ends up saying some version of the same thing. The military is not a police force, and I felt like it isn't a legal basis for deploying one. Eventually, that pattern has to matter. Here's a pattern we like even better. The Justice Department trying to get its hands on every state's voter rolls and states telling it one after another, no. Since late last week, DOJ has filed a wave of lawsuits trying to force states to hand over complete, unredacted voter registration databases. Full names, birth dates, all of it. No congressional authorization required. Voting rights activists say it looks a lot like the building blocks of a national surveillance database dressed up as an election integrity project. And states keep winning. Colorado beat back its suit, United States versus Griswold, on August 3rd. Illinois won its case on July 31st. New Jersey won on July 29th. West Virginia won on July 13th. That's 4 wins in 3 weeks, each one telling the federal government the same thing. You don't get a master list of every voter in America just because you filed a subpoena. Same fight, different front. Having lost the battle for your voter data directly, the administration tried getting at it sideways, through your mailbox. But a federal judge recently knocked down round 2 of Trump's attempt to mess with how you cast your vote before the midterms. Back in March, Trump signed an executive order aiming at overhauling mail-in voting nationwide. Among other things, directing the Postal Service to refuse to deliver ballots in any state that wouldn't first hand federal agencies its list of mail voters. In June, U.S. District Judge Indira Tawani blocked that provision, but only in the 24 states that had sued. Here's Mark Elias of Democracy Docket, one of the plaintiffs in the suit.
So what about the other 26 states? Voters there are potentially unprotected. And so a group of nonprofits filed a lawsuit that applies nationwide, and the federal district court judge granted that relief today.
That was a Tuesday ruling, courtesy of Judge Talwani, who said she didn't punt on ruling for a reason. With fewer than 90 days until the November 3rd midterms, she wrote, the government's own refusal to even defend the order's constitutionality made further delay pointless. And millions of Americans who rely on mail voting need clarity now, not after Election Day. The Justice Department says it disagrees with the court ruling and is reviewing all options, which translated means we lost and we're deciding whether it's worth losing again on appeal with the clock running out. This is the second time this specific order has been blocked in 5 months. The first covered 24 states. This one covers all 50. Some election law watchers are already calling it the potential nail in the coffin. Oh, we'll believe that when the coffin's actually shut. But for now, if you vote absentee this November, nothing about that changes. And that's exactly the point. Sometimes the resistance shows up in a wind farm. The Trump administration had indefinitely frozen the national security reviews required for onshore wind projects, effectively stalling the permitting pipeline for more than 100 projects across 25 states, an estimated $47 billion in investment, and roughly 120,000 jobs just sitting there waiting on paperwork the administration refused to process. On August 7th, a federal judge in Oregon had had enough. Renewable energy groups sued, arguing the Department of Defense had unlawfully halted a review process it's legally required to run, and the judge agreed, ordering DOD back to work. And this one's not glamorous. Nobody's marching in the streets over national security review procedures, but it's a real material win. It restores a step in the pipeline that lets wind projects and the jobs and investment attached to them actually move again in red states and blue states alike, because turbines don't check your voter registration. Now let's go small for a minute. This one is about one guy, one field office, and a few neighbors who showed up for him. Chinsaruth Hong came to Providence, Rhode Island as an infant refugee from Cambodia in 1978. He's been checking in with immigration officials routinely for almost 30 years. In July, ICE detained him anyway. His community didn't wait around. Here's Erica Ritchie from Channel 12 in Providence reporting. Ignore the sounds of the truck backing up because Erica managed to.
So this protest was happening outside of the ICE office on Jefferson Boulevard. It is the latest in a desperate attempt by Rhode Islanders to keep Hong in the Ocean State and not get deported. Earlier this week, the Providence City Council and the mayor urged federal immigration authorities to show Hong leniency, citing his nearly 50-year residence in the West End and his responsibilities caring for his 9-year-old autistic son and elderly mother.
Forgive the aside here, but I gotta say, Erica Ritchie is a pro. I get distracted by my neighbors mowing their lawn 2 houses down while I'm recording, and she did all that without missing a beat. Go, Erica. Anyway, supporters rallied outside the ICE office in Warwick, signs up, showing up for a man most of them had actually known most of their lives. On August 4th, a federal judge ordered his release, ruling that holding him violated the terms of a decades-old settlement covering Cambodian refugees just like him. ICE points to a past criminal case as justification. He had pleaded no contest to a drug charge back when he was 20 years old. His supporters say he served his time for that decades-old crime and has never been in trouble since. Providence is the only home Hong has known since infancy. There is a petition circulating trying to encourage officials to keep him in Rhode Island. After all, without him, his elderly mother and autistic son have no other family, as the boy's mother died in 2025 and Hong's father died earlier this summer. Meanwhile, in Yellowstone County, Montana, a federal judge ordered the release of a man detained by Customs and Border Patrol in what the court found was an unlawful arrest. The government argued that Jesus Verde Hernandez needed to exhaust administrative remedies first. Bureaucrats speak for wait your turn while we hold you indefinitely. The judge wasn't having it. Hernandez, it's worth noting, has lived in Montana for 10 years with his partner of 14 years. They have 3 young children. He was picked up by agents who mistook him for someone else. The order goes further than just releasing him. It says CBP can't re-detain him during removal proceedings unless it holds an actual hearing with actual notice and actually provides detention is justified under the correct statute. In a state that's seen its own share of immigration activity this summer, Gallatin County had roughly 100 people detained in a single raid in July. This is a small, specific, hard-won line drawn around one person's right to know why he's being held before he's held. Thank you for listening to Tales of the Resistance, a production of Grab Bag Collab. Join us at grabbagcollab.com where you can become a supporter like Jessica Bowman. Thank you, Jessica, for being an executive producer. I reported this episode and Amanda Rossman engineered.